We're now 1 week into practice, and there's a lot to talk about as things are starting to come into shape on offense and defense.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We have a packed episode today. 3 practices that either I got to or Mitch Wolf got to this weekend. And I have all sorts of takeaways that we're going to get into, including a talk about our tight end position and a name that's popping up and something that you're going to want to know about, a positional change and some stars that are starting to pop up. We'll talk about all of that on today's show. Now, if you listen to last week's episode, I talked about Reed Harris, a wide receiver from Montana, and how strong of a practice he had last week. Well, over the weekend, it didn't stop. Jerron Bradley was in a no contact jersey on Saturday, but practiced on Sunday with the second team. But Reed Harris got to take his spot, and boy, did he take advantage of that situation. He had a couple of big catches. And he was doing this against the ones. I saw someone make a comment on my Eagle Insider message board that I thought was interesting. You know, in the years past, who was a wide receiver we've talked about a lot in the spring, in the summer months? It was Taji Johnson. Excuse me. Taji Johnson was like the summer and spring workout hero, and nice guy, but he never really did all that much for the team. And they're like, well, maybe this guy's the next Taji Johnson. Here's the big difference. We now the media can get to practice and watch what's going on. When Taji was here, it was all based off of whatever the SID and school would send out. So, for instance, just as an example, I saw Reed Harris making an incredible leaping catch over Max Tucker. Max Tucker is a first team cornerback. When you see in the press releases from the Jeff Halfley era that Taji Johnson had big catches, you didn't know who he was playing against. He could have been playing against the third team. Who knows? Scout team, whatever the case was. The point I'm making here is Taji Johnson and Reed Harris are very different situations. Both big guys, but Reed Harris is doing this against the ones. And I think that was super interesting to watch for. Now, also during the weekend, there were some great defensive plays too. There's some names that you're going to want to watch for. And I go back to the way the defensive line has looked. The defensive line, I think, has played pretty well. It's only in a week, and as we've heard, they're not in full 100% pads going full steam yet. So we haven't had a chance to really see how they're going to do when they thump. But I've seen Neto Paula make a whole bunch of moves. Cam Horsley looks awesome. This is a guy that's going to be a constant storyline throughout this season. Is defensive tackle Cam Horsley, because he is turning into a defensive playmaker for BC. Like, he's going to cause mayhem, especially I think in the run game. Like, runs up the middle are going to be tough against him, and George Rooks looks pretty good alongside with him too. So you're getting some good play there. And Donovan Azaraku is interesting to watch because he is very energetic this year. I don't know, I got to see him a little bit during the spring too, but his level, his intensity is getting up there. That's good. That's a good thing. He's not out of control. But he's been getting it going. And this intensity, I think, is going to be the theme of what we're going to talk about here, because it's going throughout all of practice. For instance, you got to watch one-on-one drills, which are a lot of fun to watch. It was wide receivers versus defensive backs. And the matchup that had the most juice to it, the most intensity, was Jaden Skeet and Max Tucker. Now, if you're a high school football fan, or you know about their background, they're both from the same high school. They're both from Catholic Memorial, a pipeline school to BC. And we asked both guys about it, and it's just part of the game. They're not doing it to be malicious. They both love each other. Yeah, Jaden said after the practice when we talked to him that, they've been doing this time. They've been jawing at each other since they've been 10. This is, how they do it. And this is what they do. But there was an intensity because, man, when they were trying to, I think it was Skeet was trying to run and Max Tucker was trying to block him off of his route, and they got really physical. It almost looks like a fight, but it's not. It's the physicality of it. And you see it going all around practice, right? And then if, with this intensity, if it gets too much, that's when the coaches rein it in. I don't think I am not worried at all the way that this coaching staff is working about them losing control. Because when things aren't going the right way, they let them know. On Saturday, actually it was Sunday, I believe, they weren't practicing all that hard. I mean, not that they weren't playing hard. They weren't playing to the level the coaches wanted them to play at. They were sloppy, or they weren't playing with the energy level that they wanted them to. And man, Bill O'Brien stopped practice, chewed them out, told them, look, I want to get you guys where you want to go, but you got to help me you got to get there too. And he's saying it in his own language that as a coach would. And he just let them know, like, this is not acceptable and we need to do better. And what happens after that? Practice ratchets it up another notch. So they're listening to him. They listen to all the staff members. The staff members going around practice are very, very vocal with their players, coaching them, encouraging, getting on them if they're not doing the right stuff. They're on them. All the coaches, like any positional coach you can think of. Will Lawing has been called a perfectionist by Jaden Skeet. I think it was Jaden Skeet called him a perfectionist because that's the way he works. He's from the Belichick tree, kind of their MO, right? So this is all going on. They had full pads on Saturday. That was very cool. They let that, that allowed a little bit more physicality, but then they turned it around immediately on Sunday. So they had a Saturday night practice. It went from 5:30 to 7:30. Beautiful night for it too. It was one of the best practices I've ever been to. And then they turned it around and it's Sunday morning. So basically, like, I was at BC for like most of my weekend. And on Sunday, it wasn't as physical because I think they don't want to, like, it's the first week. They don't want to, like, just, put too much on the kids. So there was a little bit of a change there. Now, in terms of players, other players that I thought I really enjoyed was Kari Johnson. Kari Johnson is a very energetic player out there playing slot nickel cornerback. He's battling right now with Cameron Martinez. Those two are battling for that spot. Right now, Kari has it. He plays mostly with the ones, but they sneak in Cameron sometimes too. But Johnson is, like one of the. The way I watch him out there, he seems like a leader on defense. You've got all these other guys like Cam Arnold and Donovan Azaraku and guys like that. But Kari Johnson, he's up there too. He's definitely playing that role for the Eagles. So they're doing all of this stuff and they're getting to the end of their practices. That's the last segment of each practice is the most fun to watch because on Saturday, they did end of game drills and then they did falling. It was a field goal to tie on Saturday and they placed the ball on like the 40-yard line of their own. And then on Sunday, they did 50-yard lines and you were down by 7. And I'm going to say this right now. I think 3 out of the 4 drills. So they did one team, first team, second team, first team, second team for each one. The defense won on 3 of the 4 drills. For instance, starting on the 50 down by 7, they backed up BC's offense on, I think it was a penalty. And then there was an incomplete pass. And then Thomas Castellanos tried to scramble on 4th down and came up short. Now, to be fair to Castellanos, I said this on Eagle Insider. I don't think there were sticks on where he was running. I think it was the way that they're just doing basic practice right now is only on one side. So I don't think he could see where the first down was because he jumped out of bounds pretty quick. He probably could have got it if you knew where the sticks were, but he didn't. So that again shows you the defense played pretty well. Sione Hala had some good stops in some of those drills. A lot of names to talk about. Now, in this second segment, there was a big positional change that I noticed on Saturday. I'm going to explain who that is and why they're doing it in just a moment. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance with superchargers, bright roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every day or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Locked on Boston College, AJ Black here. Now, if you are an Eagle Nest subscriber, our subtext program, you get it free until the end of the football season. You can cancel it anytime. Go sign up and check it out. I was sending out videos throughout the weekend. You guys probably got at least one a day, plus some news and notes. I'm going to continue to build on this. So I hope you guys check it out. It's completely free until the regular season ends at the end of November. So check that out. I only have a few more spots left. I hope you guys become a subscriber. Now, if you are thank you all who are first listeners here at Locked On BC. For your second listen, let me tell you to go listen to Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin. He discusses the upcoming season and ever-changing landscape of college athletics, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, NIL, new college football, expanded playoffs, and more. Locked On College Football is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. AJ Black here. So this weekend, there was a few noticeable news items. There was a few guys that were still being held out. As I mentioned, Jerron Bradley, he's back full, so don't worry about anything there. There's no worries there. I don't know if it was just a maintenance day that he just had off, but Reed Harris took his spot. There was a few other guys that had, I think it looked like scheduled days off because they were back like the day after. And then there was something that happened with Dontrell Jones, their running back, who was held out of practice on Sunday. Now, the big story, though, I'm always fascinated when this kind of stuff happens, is there was already what looks to be a potential positional change with the Eagles with a true freshman. True freshman quarterback at the time, Jonathan Montigue, was not spotted on Saturday by me. I had the quarterbacks all in front of me, and I'm like, "Where's Montigue? I know his number. He wasn't there." And I was like, "Did something happen? Was he hurt? Was excused? Whatever." But then when they start doing the drills, I see a number 8 walk towards me. I'm like, "I don't know a number 8. Who's the number 8?" And I look at I could see his helmet. I'm like, "Oh, there he is." Jonathan Montigue was working out with the wide receivers. This is not something that's a complete surprise. I believe Bill Belichick. Bill O'Brien talked about it on John Mita Perel's podcast last week that they're going to try some different things with him to get him on the field because he's very quick. He's quite the athlete. He ran for like 2,500 yards last year as a quarterback. He can do a lot of things. So it surprised me a little bit that it just happened so quickly. But I asked Bill O'Brien after practice about it, and he says they're going to try it out for a couple of weeks, see how he does working with the wide receivers. And if it goes well, that might be where he sticks. And that's what the plan is. I watched him work out with the wide receivers, and I got to say, I thought Montague looked pretty good. I don't think he's gonna, would I expect him to do much this year? No, probably not. I mean, they're pretty deep at wide receiver anyways. And, if it is a positional change, usually it takes, especially I think he played quarterback all through high school. He might take some time. I watched him working with Darrell Wyatt. Darrell Wyatt was trying to give him some pointers and things like that. But by Sunday, Montague was already working with a unit. He was with the fourth team. So this is good. BC has had success in the past with converting quarterbacks to wide receivers, and so has Bill O'Brien. So you look at what BC has. You've done it with Jeff Smith. You did it with Reed Harris. Reed Harris was a quarterback at Montana. He was a 6'5" quarterback. And everyone knows Bill O'Brien. He, I believe, was major, part of the Julian Edelman experiment. Edelman was a quarterback at Kent State, and they made him one of the best wide receivers in New England history. So this is not something that should be like a big warning flag. I'm sure the kid just wants to play, so he's going to take whatever he can get. But he's, I think he's 6'3", 205 pounds. He's good size to him. Like watching him out there, he looks like a wide receiver. He looks like a bigger wide receiver too. So it's a nice thing to have. And if you trust your coaches enough, you could probably make this kid into a wide receiver in a year or two. And as I said, it's a great problem to have that you don't need to use him right away. It's not like you have to throw Jonathan Montigue out there and have him playing ACC snaps right off the bat. He doesn't need to. You can, bring him along and teach him all the ins and outs of that position over the next year or two. Redshirt him. That's gonna work just fine. But this all also goes back to something I brought up before. Jeff Halfley had this persona that he was very friendly. I think a lot of folks thought like the media sucked up to him and that he was nice to the media to butter him up and whatnot. And I always said he was a nice guy. But if he was so friendly to the media, why did he always keep practices closed? As someone who covers the team, someone who writes about the team and talks about the team, it's hard to preview it when you don't know, like you couldn't see anything. I would never have known Jonathan Montague did this. I would never know if a guy was banged up. I would have never have known how like the whole process is working out. And so Bill O'Brien is a much more old school coach, but I respect that he's opened up practice to the media so that we can sit and watch, and he treats us like professionals, right? Like, that I'm not going to go there and record and put on Twitter like them running team drills and doing routes and stuff like that, because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. But I can sit there and just kind of observe it, see what's going on, see who's moving up the depth chart, who's doing what, and get a better feel. So I want to say this. It's been refreshing having Bill O'Brien as the head coach right now. You know, he's got a little Belichick in him. When you go to press conference, you ask him the wrong question, he'll not chew you out, but he'll give you a hard time about it. And as he should. But he also is fair. And letting the media there should be something every program does. And I know not all of them do it. So we're in a good spot here because there's more practices. I'll be there at scrimmage on Wednesday. I'm really pumped about that. And then we get to talk about it. It gives us really in-depth things to bring up. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this here at Locked On Boston College, your team every day. Now, in a moment, I want to talk about the tight end position, what we've noticed here. I got an injury update and a new name of someone who's popped up that I think you're going to want to know about. All of that in just a moment. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Right now, the Red Sox, fading hard on them. I'm going to go against them as much as I can because they're just not playing well. And you can get those odds, and maybe you're just not into the style I am. Maybe it's hard for you to bet against your home team. But I like to bet smart. Right now, the Red Sox aren't playing well, and it seems like they're about to tailspin. So I'm going to go with that. Why don't you head over to FanDuel.com and make your wagers and start making the most out of your summer with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. This is Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at AJ Black247 and subscribe to Locked On BC wherever you get your podcasts. And I got another show for you to listen to. Check out Locked On Patriots. If you're a New Englander like me, you want to know what's going on with Drake May, what's going on with this program, with Matthew Judon and the contract situation. Check out Locked On Patriots on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, I want to talk about the tight end position. Got to meet Kamari Morales for the first time at a media event at the end of Sunday's practice. And he brought up specifically a name to watch out for. Danny Edgehill. He said is one of the hardest working tight ends in their room. He's constantly working on his playbook. He's a true freshman preferred walk-on from Zavarian Brothers, and has caught my attention too. But apparently, his work ethic has really stood out to Morales, who went out of his way to talk about him. He is already working with the twos. And the reason he's working with the twos is that Matt Reagan has not practiced on Saturday and Sunday. I don't know if he's hurt or what's going on, but he was not practicing. Edge Hill is, as I said, a tight end and showed good hands. For a guy that's a freshman, he had some really nice soft catches and has looked every bit the part that maybe a guy that we may need to see at some point. I'm not sure how far along he's at, and obviously he's a true freshman, so it's a little tough to gauge if he's ready yet. But he looked it to me. He had a really nice practice. And now Morales himself, he's had some good catches this summer. Morales has been with the ones throughout all of practice, and as I said, and I believe I mentioned it in some earlier episodes, I think that's just where they're at in terms of installing their offense. I don't think that has anything to do with Jeremiah Franklin, but I've enjoyed watching the offensive edge that Morales is going to give them, because I think he's going to be a tight end that can actually be a weapon for them going forward. Additionally, Jeremiah Franklin has looked fine. He had a really good practice. He had a couple good catches in one of those drills I was talking about, the end of the game drills. I think he had 2 big catches on some nice balls thrown by Grayson James. And so he's had his moments as well. But it was Edge Hill that I wanted to bring up here, because I don't think anybody, myself included, was bringing this guy up before the start of practice. But he's one of those guys that has already started to show up, and he's practicing with the twos, which I think is right. He's taking advantage of an opportunity with Reagan out, that he's going to get a chance to play against better competition. It's only going to expedite his development. And the fact that it sounds like he has all these intangibles that are working for him too makes him a pretty cool guy to root for. We'll have to wait and see how he plays a role in this season, if he does, or if this is just some nice brief boost of what could be to come in years in the future. You never know, based off of how things turn out, what a guy can and can't do. But it's been nice to watch him kind of make some moves as well. On tomorrow's show, I'll have some more breakdowns and things to take away from these practices. We'll get into all of that, maybe more recruiting news and anything else that pops up here in Boston College news we'll have here at Locked On BC. Thank you all who have made this your first listen. I met somebody this weekend at a practice who told me, HA, when they knew who it was, they were like, I listen to your show every morning. And I loved hearing that, because I put so much work. This is like a labor of love for me. I put so much work into this. It was so great to hear it. So if you're one of those people, thank you too. And if you have BC friends, get them on this get them on to listening to Locked On BC, so that we can build this podcast up and get it as one of the premier podcasts about Boston College. We're the only daily Boston College podcast, but I want more. I want more listeners, and I want you guys to help me out with that. So follow me, join our Eagles Nest program. I want a few more of you guys on there. Get in there. It's free till the end of the season. The details are in the show notes, and we'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.